Please, I beg you, just give some soup to my little sister at least. I'm so hungry. In the bone-chilling cold, two little girls clutching a 10-cent coin stood in front of my store. Due to urban development, my shop, which had almost no customers left, was eerily empty of customers, especially in this cold. I was just about to close for the day when this happened. Upon seeing the little girls, Emily hastily brought them inside and said to me, "Let's feed them a lot." Yeah, you're right. After all, no customers were coming anyway. We had surplus ingredients. We decided to treat them to a feast. At that time, I had no idea that these little ones would bring a ray of hope to my small, struggling restaurant. My name is Alex, 30 years old. Together with my wife, Emily, I run this small restaurant. When we first opened, we had a good number of customers, and their smiles filled our restaurant. But now, those bustling days are just a distant memory. The tide of time is always cruel. As urban development gradually advanced around us, our customers began to dwindle. Emily, let's finish for today. Okay, did we have some customers today? Well, somewhat, but still not like when we first opened. Now, our sales are nowhere near what they were at the beginning. We've been in a slump for quite some time. I'm confident in our food, so most people who do come tend to become regulars. But the fundamental problem is that not many people come in the first place. I sighed. Seeing this, Emily gently placed her hand on my shoulder. But there are customers who smile because of your cooking. That's the most encouraging thing for us, right? Yeah, you're right, as always, Emily. The exterior of our restaurant looks quaint, to put it nicely, but frankly, it's quite worn down, which particularly deters the younger crowd. But even if we wanted to change the exterior, we'd need funds. With our almost non-existent revenue, affording renovation costs is out of the question. We tried distributing flyers and reaching out to people to improve foot traffic, but these efforts seem to have little to no effect. If this continues, we might have to close down. Did you say something? She didn't catch my murmured words and tilted her head in confusion. Seeing that, I gave her a smile and, feeling a bit down, tried to shift my mood by talking to Emily. Emily, let's think of a new menu to attract more people. Yes, let's do our best. Though I knew coming up with a new menu wouldn't necessarily bring in more customers, it was all we could do in our current situation. Then one day, it was so cold that it felt like it might snow at any moment. Due to the cold, or perhaps because the place was usually deserted, we had almost no customers that day, either. Shall we close up for today? Let's have something warm to eat. Yeah, it's really cold today. Shivering, I saw Emily chuckle at my reaction. I'll start preparing to close. Wait, I'll help. Then, let's do it together. As Emily walked towards the entrance, I called out to her, and she turned around to wait for me. I jogged up to her side and opened the door. And then, we finally noticed the presence beyond the door. Wait. Oh. There stood two little girls, young and small. Their cheeks, battered by the icy wind, were so red it hurt just to look at them. Clutched in their numb hands was a single 10-cent coin. Are you okay? What happened? Startled by their appearance, Emily rapidly fired off questions. They, startled by Emily's voice, shuddered slightly but eventually spoke up. Please, just some soup for my sister at least. The slightly taller girl must be the older sister. She was holding her younger one's hand while extending a 10-cent coin towards us with her other hand. I'm so hungry. The younger sister, trembling, repeated those words over and over. It was too heart-wrenching to watch, and Emily was the first to act. It's cold out here, isn't it? Come inside." Emily spoke kindly to the girls and led them into the shop. As she passed by, she whispered to me, audible only to my ears, "Let's feed them plenty." Yeah, you're right. After all, no customers were coming anyway. We had surplus ingredients. We decided to treat them to a feast. Little did I know at that time, these small girls would become a beacon of hope for our struggling little restaurant. We decided to treat the girls to steaks. As soon as they entered the shop, they quietly whispered steak, and that's why. Hearing those words, we exchanged glances and couldn't help but smile a little. We had been wondering what to treat them to, but it seems our worries were unnecessary. "Here you go, steaks for you." Steak. Placing 2 steaks in front of them, their faces lit up with bright smiles. Having smiles in the shop was indeed a good thing. Initially, they seemed hesitant, as if wondering if it was all right to eat, but their smiles burst forth the moment they took a bite. Delicious. From then on, their hearty eating made it seem like just watching them would fill us up. We watched them eat with joy, smiling as they happily and deliciously devoured their food. But the fact that they had no parents around and were out in such cold weather, starving like this, it seemed there had to be a story behind it. However, I figured they might be wary if I asked them directly. Especially since they seemed a bit guarded around me when I placed the steaks in front of them. Judging the situation, I whispered to Emily. Emily. What is it? Could you ask the girls about their situation? I think they might be less guarded around you." She nodded in understanding to my request and slowly approached the girls. I didn't get closer but moved to a spot where I could still hear their conversation. "Is the steak good?" She gently approached and asked the girls, who flinched slightly but then nodded vigorously. "I'm glad. Are you full now? Could you tell me your names if you don't mind?" After exchanging glances, the girls took a moment before the slightly bigger one, presumably the older sister, spoke up. "I'm Mia, and this is my sister, Tina." At first, Mia pointed to herself and then to her sister, and Emily smiled at them, taking a seat on a nearby chair. "Thank you. Those are lovely names." When Emily complimented their names, the two of them seemed to smile a bit more happily. "So, Mia and Tina, why were you at the entrance of the store? Where are your parents?" As she asked this, the two hesitated. It seemed there were difficult circumstances they found hard to talk about. However, they seemed to be trying to say something, stuttering and if she waited patiently without rushing them, they might share their story. After a while, as if they had made up their minds, they began to speak haltingly. "You see, our house, it burned down, and we ran away from it. Dad and Mom are working at night, so they're not here right now." "I see. Do you know how to contact your parents, like where they work?" "I don't know." "I don't know either." She gently patted their heads, saying "I see," as they looked disheartened. Then, feeling the urgency of the situation, I decided to call the police, thinking their parents must be worried. The police said they would try to contact the parents once they knew the situation. However, even after some time, there was no contact with the parents. When the police arrived at the store, it seemed there was a complicated issue. In such cases, they would normally be taken into custody at a facility, but could it be that they're all full? Yes, all the nearby facilities are full. As he expressed his frustration, me and Tina, sensing something unsettling, clung tightly to Emily and stared at us. "For now, we can take them into our care. Mia, Tina, would you come with me?" As he approached, they clung even tighter to Emily. "Mia, Tina, the officer is calling for you." Though she tried to gently persuade them to go with the police, they resisted. "No. We don't want." The more they tried to separate them, the more their voices filled with tears, and they started to cry. It's understandable. Their house had caught fire, and they must have been terrified. In the freezing cold, with nowhere to go, and just when they thought they had found a safe place, they were faced with the prospect of being taken away again. It must have been too much for them. Considering this, I made a suggestion. Would it be possible for us to take care of them for the night? What? They've been through a lot of fear. It might be best not to move them around anymore. That makes sense. Would it be all right if we leave them with you for just one night? We'll give your address to the parents once we get in touch with them. Yes, that would be fine. Mia and Tina, not quite understanding the situation, still clung to Emily, but as the police left, they hesitantly moved away from her and came over to me, gently grabbing the edge of my clothes. What's going to happen to us? We don't want to be scared anymore. I gently hugged the two of them, who seemed a little frightened. You'll be staying here for the night. Here. A sleepover, is that okay? Yes, I've got permission from the officer who was here just now, so it's all right. As I explained this to them, their expressions of fear changed instantly, and they showed the biggest smiles I'd ever seen. Yay! Their voices of joy echoed loudly throughout the store. That night was quite a commotion. They were so excited after taking a bath, and before bed, unable to contain their excitement. They involved the whole house in a loud game of hide and seek. Haha, they are so adorable. Emily was with Mia and Tina the whole time, staying by their side for everything they did and holding their hands until they fell asleep. The two of them seemed to fall asleep soundly from exhaustion after playing, and we shared a laugh while looking at their peaceful sleeping faces. The next day, we received a call from the police informing us that they had made contact with the parents. It seemed the parents had shown up at the police station looking for their daughters. We immediately took them to the police station. Upon arrival, we saw people who appeared to be their parents, and the two girls happily ran to them. However, something seemed off. The father's face was somewhat gloomy. After looking at them, he turned to us and thanked us politely. "Thank you for helping my daughters." "Oh, not at all, but what will you do now?" Given that their house had burned down, the parents must also be without a home. Considering they worked night shifts, there was also a chance that they might end up in a similar situation again, I thought. Well, we have no home to return to, so we thought about going back to our hometown, but my parents there are quite elderly, suddenly expecting them to take care of children. We also considered renting a place nearby, but it's difficult to find a house immediately, especially with two children, and our bank book was burned in the fire. Well, this must be what feeling utterly lost is like. Faced with a situation where every option seems blocked, anyone would look gloomy. It would be strange not to. As we pondered what to do, Emily, who had been listening, spoke up. "Would you like us to take care of them for a while?" He looked at Emily in surprise, not knowing what to make of her offer. "No, but how could we?" The unexpected offer had him looking bewildered. When he caught his wife's sigh, she too seemed confused. "We can't just leave our children with strangers." I thought it was a natural reaction. At the same time, it was clear how much the parents truly cared for Mia and Tina, and I felt a strong desire to help them. But what to do? As I thought about it, I noticed Mia and Tina telling their mother about their experiences the day before. "Mommy, these people let us eat delicious steak, a lot. We want to go play with them again." They seemed to have really taken a liking to us, eagerly sharing everything about playing and eating with their mother. "Mia, Tina, you two really love them, don't you?" "Yes." Seeing their beaming smiles, the mother seemed to make up her mind, nodding decisively and speaking to the father. Dear, maybe we should accept their offer. But they are so fond of them. They must be good people. Her words seemed to reassure the father, who looked at his daughters again. Seeing them nodding in agreement with their mother's words, the father seemed to relax, his tense demeanor softening as he let out a sigh. Then, he turned to us and said, "Until we're ready, could we entrust our daughters to you?" There was no reason for us to refuse. "Yes, of course, we'll take good care of your daughters." And so, we ended up taking care of Mia and Tina. Although they seemed a bit sad to be away from their parents, they were visibly happy to be with us. But the happiest face of all wasn't Mia's or Tina's, it was Emily's. Watching her, I couldn't help but feel a bit guilty. That's because, truth be told, we had wanted children, but were not blessed with any. Though the doctor never told us to give up hope, this strain it put on us mentally led to our relationship deteriorating. As a result, we gave up on having children and decided to focus on nurturing our store instead. However, it seemed Emily couldn't completely let go of her longing for children. I wonder what you two like. I love steak. Haha, you both said that together. You really do love steak, don't you? Whenever they wanted to play, Emily would join them, and if they wanted something to eat, she would make it for them. She showered them with all the love she could. Some time after they had gotten used to living with us, they came up to me and said, "We want to help out at the store." I was pleased by their offer, but since our store wasn't very busy, there wasn't much for them to do, which left me in a dilemma. How about handing out flyers? Yeah. So, they went out to distribute flyers with Emily. Perhaps moved by the sight of little girls handing out flyers so earnestly, a few more people started to visit our store. From then on, they also began to help out with serving customers in the store. Hi. Although they were only greeting the customers, their fearless and outgoing nature made them quite popular among the customers, and they became the store's little mascots. Gradually, the number of customers increased, and the store began to buzz with laughter and smiles. This was a joyous development, and I ruffled Mia and Tina's hair, saying, "You two have a talent for making people smile." Hey. I was incredibly grateful for their help, which had started to turn the store's fortunes around. Wondering if there was something I could do for them in return, I asked if there was anything they wanted. We want picture books. It turned out they were interested in a girl's picture book about two adorable girls becoming pop stars. It was a bit embarrassing to buy such a book at the bookstore, but I managed to get it and handed it over to them, and they were thrilled. "Thank you. We've been so curious about this, we're so happy." "I'm glad you're happy. The girls on this book cover look a lot like you too." "Really?" "Yeah, really. You two have a knack for engaging with people and making them smile, so maybe being pop stars could be your calling." "Pop stars, huh?" They looked at the cover of the picture book, then at each other, and seemed genuinely happy. I couldn't help but wonder what kind of adults they would grow into, and with each passing day, I found myself wanting to watch over them as they grew. But whether it was a sad or happy occasion, the time to say goodbye eventually came. 2 months after we took in them, their parents came to pick them up. The father thanked me profusely. "Thank you so much. We've finally gotten everything ready back home and can take Mia and Tina back. We can be a family again. Thank you, truly. Thank you." It was our pleasure. They have been a great help to us, really. We should be the ones thanking you. The mother also expressed her gratitude to me. Emily, perhaps sad about parting with them, hugged them and shed a few tears. "Come visit us again, okay?" Yeah, we'll come visit again. We'll write you letters." Mia and Tina, while hugging Emily, also started to cry. I was on the verge of tears myself, but held back until I saw Mia and Tina walking away hand in hand with their parents, waving goodbye until they were out of sight. After they were gone, I couldn't hold back any longer and ended up crying shamelessly, but let's keep that a secret. I hope we can meet again. Yeah, we'll surely meet again, I reassured. I mentioned that we made a promise. Then she, nodding in agreement, showed a small smile and said, yes. Then, 10 years passed. At first, we received letters from me and Tina, but gradually their replies ceased, and recently, it had been reduced to just Christmas cards. They must be busy with various things. After all, they are in the midst of their youth. Emily seemed to feel a bit lonely since their replies stopped and only Christmas cards remained, but she always seemed happy seeing the two looking healthy in the photos on the Christmas cards. No customers again today. However, the store wasn't doing well. Urban development progressed further, and our financial situation became even more challenging. We had been maintaining the store with the hope that Mia and Tina would visit again, but there were things that just couldn't be fixed by willpower alone. If only urban development was the only problem. Recently, the situation worsened due to a particular individual. Today, the bell at the entrance rang again. But the person who entered was not a customer, but that particular individual. Hey there, quite empty again today, huh? How about selling this land already? Continuing the store is just accruing losses, right? That person was Robert, a debt collector. He came to collect debts time and time again, and although we refused each time, he spread baseless rumors about pests and rats in the store, causing reputational damage. One might think such rumors wouldn't be believed, but looking at our nearly empty store, the outcome was obvious. Perhaps it was time to give up. I felt sorry for Mia and Tina and Emily, who had worked hard together for so many years, but it might be time to close the store. That's when it happened. Emily came running from the back of the store. I thought she had been on the phone just a moment ago, and then she said in a hurry, "Hey, I just got a call asking if they could film a TV segment in our store." What? They said they're bringing a popular celebrity along. This could be our chance. I thought so. Robert just sneered, thinking that a TV appearance now wouldn't make any difference, but this might be our chance to prove him wrong. Emily, let's accept the TV interview. It was a gamble of a lifetime. If this went well, we might be able to keep the store running. If not, the store would end as he wanted. But I wouldn't let that happen. Absolutely not. In preparation for the TV interview, we cleaned the store and practiced answering potential questions. Then, the day of the TV interview arrived. I could only sleep for a few hours the night before due to nervousness. Trying to calm my rapidly beating heart with deep breaths, the familiar sound of the bell signaled a visit. Wow, it hasn't changed at all. Oh, Tina, look at that. What, Mia? Oh, the steak is still here. Yay. The names I heard were familiar ones that I used to hear and say often. As if guided by the voices, I looked in their direction, and there stood Mia and Tina, whom we had parted with on that day. They were no longer the little girls they once were but had grown into adults, dressed in dazzling outfits. Mia, Tina. As I called out their names in surprise, they responded with the same full smiles I remembered. We're back. What, are you guys here? Didn't you hear about the TV interview, that a celebrity was coming? I heard, but that celebrity is... It's us. To my surprise, they had grown up to become pop stars and were now a popular duo. Even Emily was taken aback, her mouth opening and closing in shock. When we heard about the TV segment, The Flavors That Supported Us, the popular duo, we immediately thought of your restaurant, they explained. We requested your restaurant specifically. All I could manage in response to their thanks was a stunned, "Ah, right." I only remember bits and pieces of the interview itself. It seems that the shock was enough to make me forget most of it, a phenomenon that's apparently quite real. What I do recall is that the two of them mentioned that our store and my words had inspired them to become idols. The reason we started as idols is largely because Alex told us we had a talent for making people smile, they said. Alex said that making people smile, being involved with people, maybe being an idol was our calling. He might have been joking then, but we always remembered it. We wanted to support people who are working hard, and that's why we became idols. Honestly, I couldn't hold back my tears hearing them say that during the interview. The fact that they remembered my casual words all this time and chose it as their path in life was incredibly moving. "Alex, are you crying? Are you okay? What happened?" I reassured the worried duo with a smile, wiping away my tears with one hand. "It's just that I'm really happy, you know." Turning to Emily, who was also tearfully happy, she nodded vigorously in agreement, saying, "Yes, yes." From then on, we became busier than ever. Our restaurant started to see lines of customers every day, and the place was filled with laughter and smiles. "Honey, we've got an order for 2 steaks." "Got it." The impact of Mia and Tina was tremendous. They promoted our restaurant on their social media, and with the influence of the TV appearance, the place was bustling, making one wonder what had happened to the dwindling customer base. Our continuous efforts in creating new menus and refining our flavors paid off, with customers praising our food and becoming regulars. Then, he showed up again. "Hey, what's all this crowd about? And hasn't this place gotten nicer?" During a slightly quieter time, Robert, who visited as usual, was taken aback by the look of the restaurant, his eyes widening in surprise. This was because the restaurant was in the midst of being renovated from its old, worn-out appearance to a more modern look. While watching the astonished Robert, I signaled to the two who were in the back of the store. Mia and Tina were furious about what had happened to my restaurant. They were particularly upset with Robert and had asked to be present for this moment. When Mia and Tina appeared, he was even more shocked. "You were the one being terrible to Alex in his restaurant. Spreading false rumors, that's really low." They spoke loudly, making sure others could hear. The surrounding customers started giving him cold looks. Feeling the hostile glares, he took a step back, fear evident on his face. I stood in front of Robert, with Mia and Tina lining up beside me. "We won't hand over our store to anyone. Sorry, so sorry." As we pressured him to leave, he scurried out of the restaurant. They, looking pleased, exchanged high fives, and the customers joined in the celebration. From that day on, our restaurant was no longer affected by Robert's defamation or the challenges of urban development. The restaurant was bustling every day, regardless of the time. We were busy, but we were living fulfilling days. Mia and Tina, though often touring for concerts, always made sure to visit when they were in town. Thanks to them, many celebrities started visiting our restaurant. "Excuse me, can I place an order?" Today, as usual, customers kept coming in, and orders were continuously being placed. Emily used to handle order taking, but now her hands were too full to manage alone. "Yes, I'll be right with you." I rushed to attend to the customers' calls. My face must have been filled with a cheerful smile. Initially, it was us who saved Mia and Tina. But before we knew it, it was Mia and Tina who ended up saving us. Fate truly is a mysterious thing, and I want to continue cherishing these seemingly minor connections. I vowed to protect this restaurant, which Mia and Tina saved from closure, with all my heart.